Go ahead and go over the top. I don't like how he went down.
We're going to need everybody. All call.
When Buffalo Bills safety Damar Hamlin collapsed on the field in January, Pete Lake immediately thought about his son, Peter.
It really brought back a lot of emotions, and still does, truthfully.
2 years ago, then a high school freshman, Peter Lake was playing defense for the Loyola Dons against the McDonough Eagles. He was right around the 20-yard line. And what you're about to watch is the exact moment his heart stopped beating.
I went to the ball, I stepped in front of it, and I just got hit. Like, I've done that many times before.
I kind of even winced, and I'm like, just thinking in my head, oh, that one's gonna hurt.
Jeremy Parr is the assistant athletic director and the head athletic trainer at Peter's school. That sunny day, he was watching diligently from the sideline.
Because this shot was pretty hard, I was watching Peter instead of the course of the action of the game.
I had started looking for what was going to happen next, and then just like that, I got dizzy and I just blacked out.
I could hear first. He had some agonal breathing, so it was like this gasping or gurgling for air. He's prone on the ground. I checked for a pulse and we didn't have one.
The diagnosis, commotio cordis, a rare phenomenon with fewer than 30 cases reported every year. Now let me show you exactly what happened to Peter. His heart here is contracting and relaxing. That's a normal rhythm. But at the exact millisecond the heart needs to recharge before the next beat, that's this little bump here, the lacrosse ball hit the left side of his chest. As a result, his heart never got the chance to relax. It starts fibrillating instead. Peter goes into cardiac arrest, and the clock starts ticking.
What was that like for you?
Didn't have time to think. With no pulse, no breathing, we needed to get the AED and EMS activated as soon as possible.
And in Peter's case, it all worked, and fast, 2 to 3 minutes. But watching all this as a parent, I couldn't help but wonder, what if this were my kid's school, your kid's school? As part of a CNN investigation, we learned that nowadays, at least 20 states have laws requiring AEDs. And in reality, about 70 to 80% of schools have at least one defibrillator on hand. But how accessible they are, that is the real issue we uncovered.
What if it had happened, a few miles away from here?
It would have been a totally different outcome. You can do CPR till you're blue in the face, and it's never going to restart the heart. It is 100% access to an AED within a very timely period.
Turns out, where you live makes a big difference. For example, in Ohio and Michigan, more than 70% of public schools had AEDs, but in locations that simply couldn't be reached in time. In Oregon, just half of schools had an AED accessible within 4 minutes of all sports venues. In Vermont, despite 81% of schools having an AED, just 16% of them had them located at fields or arenas. And about half the time, they were in the school nurse's office or the lobby.
This is an example of a portable...
We learned that athletic trainers are critical, and schools that had athletic trainers were more likely to have AEDs. The chance of survival from a cardiac arrest nearly doubled to over 80% if an athletic trainer or AED were used. But as things stand now, a third of the country's schools don't have anyone in that position.
All athletes should be afforded the same resources that we have here, that Division I athletes in college have, and professional sports as well.
That's the thing. It's availability and access. Both are crucially important. And it's one of the most important things you can do for your kids. Make sure AEDs are available and accessible in your kid's school. It saved Peter Lake's life and allowed for moments like this.
Now, a lot of people may be wondering about the cost of these AEDs, $1,000 to $2,000, depending on the model. But Jake, that's not a yearly cost. I mean, as long as they stay charged, they can be used for many years. Need roughly one AED per 500 students. That's what parents should be asking for. And again, make sure they're accessible. Not that they just have them, but they're accessible, preferably within 2 minutes, Jake. As you saw there, it can save a life, makes a huge difference.